Living the life. Right, now moving on to our first guest tonight, Sayra Begum, a graphic novelist who's began creating her latest work while studying for her MA at Falmouth University.
Yes, indeed, and Sayra's work has focused on female and marginalised voices, and her style is inspired by Islamic miniatures and surrealism. Welcome, Sister Sayra, to the show. Assalamu alaikum.
And we just have to turn around. Assalamu alaikum, Sayra. Welcome to the show.
Walaikum salam.
Alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah. So first of all, tell us what inspired you to begin writing this book, because you didn't write this novel. Or, I mean, actually, first of all, what does a graphic novel mean? Let's start with that, because is it more text or is it more graphics?
So it's a hybrid, basically. It's a long form of a comic book. So my graphic novel, for example, is about 264 pages, and it uses typical features like speech bubbles, panels, thought bubbles, which usually a good indicator that it's a graphic novel.
So wait a minute, from my side, before we even go to the novel, I just love your background. And that just shows to me what kind of stuff you're really into. I'm loving all the pictures. Is that all your work behind you?
Apart from this, a couple of these here, yeah, these are my paintings, and these are images from the graphic novel.
Fantastic. So what made you come up with them? Because you're studying at the same time. Where did the idea come up of trying to put a novel together, let alone graphic?
So it was actually when I was studying in Plymouth, I was browsing the library and came across two very amazing graphic novels. So the first one's called Blankets by Craig Thompson, and he talks about his Christian upbringing. And the second one was Marjane Satrapi Persepolis, and she talks about her Muslim upbringing in Iran. And so I just felt very inspired by them. And the idea came when I had to write a project proposal for my MA. I just was in the very autobiographical and graphic novel mode. So I couldn't really think of anything else, but I thought by the time the MA starts, I might come up with a better idea and go back to my usual, fantasy work. But that didn't happen, and it was all I could think about, really.
Sayra, I can imagine a graphic novel takes a long time to put together because of the nature of the work. How did you find that experience? Like, were your emotions, because naturally your emotions, some of your emotions, personal, experiences are in the book as well. Did that change in that period?
I think when you initially write something and you have a long break away from it, when you come back to it, you have like a fresh perspective. So your opinions do change, but also it allows you to be objective because you lost that sentimentality. And this is why I love graphic literature, because you create these cartoon bodies and they're telling stories which you've experienced or you've seen, but it's not coming through your own self. It's coming through the cartoon. And sorry, what was the other part of your question?
I was just saying that because you had to, it's your personal feelings and your emotions at the end of the day, and throughout that period, I mean, you've answered it because you're saying that things can change. You can go back and make changes. I guess it's like almost like an editing process while you're creating the novel. Is that right?
Exactly. Yeah, it allows that objectivity because of that process.
What about friends and family? How did they receive it? I mean, obviously your parents are from two different parts of the world, Bangladesh and England. So there's a bit of, bit of history and a bit of different kind of cultures. So not everyone can relate to a graphic, book, let alone just a written book nowadays.
Yeah. It's one, and if you can't be bothered to read it, then you've got some imagery that I've worked really hard to make to look at. But my dad, he wanted to be an artist when he was younger. And I think like most Muslim homes, it was just surrounded in Islamic calligraphy or just paintings of mosques. So I came from a very, I think, art-rich family. My brothers aren't so arty, but they have created this graphic novel. They've suddenly gotten really into it. And are talking about going to a lot of like Comic-Cons when COVID is over.
I see. Sayra, You know, when did you realize that you had a passion for obviously graphical art? And if there are people watching today, youngsters particularly, like, you know, what advice can you give them?
So I've always been interested in art ever since I can remember, and I've always known I'm just one of those very fortunate people. It's always been one path for me, and it was always expressing my thoughts or observations of the world through art. The graphic literature part didn't come in until I was actually doing my degree when I discovered this, because I didn't really read a lot when I was younger. I was more visual. But I think if anybody out there is thinking, how do I create a comic book, I would just say, just start with a small comic book under 30 pages or so, because you don't want to set yourself a monumental task, because it is hard work. And just, I guess, focus on wait till a story comes to you that you feel passionate about, and you're willing to put in so many hours a day to see through till the end.
And what about the storyline? What are we expecting when if I open this up? What, you don't want to give it too much away, obviously, but give us a rough idea what we're talking about here. Yeah. What's the storyline? The title, especially. I mean, Mongrel. Where does that come from?
So Mongrel. I think at the moment when I chose it, I was just remembering all the sort of like ways I was spoken about or spoken to because of being mixed heritage. So I was drawing on that, and I remember somebody who didn't mean it in a nasty way. They called me a mongrel, and it kind of like stuck to me. Then, sorry, what was?
Yeah, I think Sayra,
the storyline. What kind of themes are we expecting?
So the protagonist name is Shuna, and she's taking you through her memories, and it could be she's exploring themes like racism, interfaith relationships, and family strife, and this idea of like, is it pluralism, or do you have to be straight edge and be the other? You either be British or you either be Muslim. So that's some of the main themes summed up there.
See, I think, Sayra, there's a lot of people out there who are also mixed heritage, who will take great benefit from your work. I think, to be honest, what kind of feedback have you had from like the general public?
It's been really wonderful, fantastic. People, not everyone relates to it, obviously, because people don't have a similar background. But there's still the idea of why I chose to write this was that if you don't know a Muslim, there's something that you can take away from it, because Absolutely. It's very honest, it's very frank, and it's kind of it's there to be used if you want to learn more about Muslims. But the people that do have a similar background to me, they've been just saying how much it resonated with them. So yeah, I'm really happy that I guess it's done what I set out for it to do.
I mean, look, generally,
it's so
the reading industry is in a bit of a decline because people aren't reading as much as they used to. Do you think something like a graphic novel will bring people back to reading? Will that entice them to pick up a book again?
So I think graphic novels have started being put on school curriculums, interestingly, and then the rise of manga in the UK as well. So it is definitely, in a way, a rising trend. And I don't know if people are reading less, or if it's the fact that they're just reading more online rather than in the paper format.
And talking about online, is the book available online in an online format? Is it a hard copy, soft book? What is it?
So it will be eventually available as an ebook, but right now it's just a paperback. If I just show you an example.
And there's a copy there. Fantastic.
Yeah.
Superb.
Good work, good work. And if people wish to get in contact with you, I'm assuming they can find your name on social media and what have you?
Yeah, I'm on Facebook and Instagram, just Sayra Begum.
And what are they looking at Sayra Begum?
Yeah. Yes.
And that's spelled with a Y,
sorry,
by
what
the
are they
way.
looking at?
Sayra.
Yeah, Sayra.
Fantastic.
Brilliant. Well, look, we're going to mention that the book's available on Amazon and all good bookstores at the moment. And as you said, it'll go online at some point as well, hopefully.
Okay, well, fantastic. Thank you very much, Sayra, for joining us on Living the Life here. And all the best with your future
Brilliant.
endeavours
I
and
hope everybody
studies.
heard that, because I think
Yes.
we were having a bit of a few frozen moments.
A few little frozen moments. I
But
thought, was it me
obviously
or was it
that's
her? But
what
hey,
the internet
that's-
is about nowadays.
that is right,
You know
that
what?
is right.
So many people are online at the moment, especially during the day when you're trying to work. It's impossible.
That's right. That's
Brilliant.
right.
Absolutely.
That's right. So,
Graphic-
like,
are you into graphic books and comics?
I love art. There's no doubt about that. I love creativity,
Yeah.
and I'm really interested. And I will be taking a look at that book and purchasing one. And like Naeem said, if you'd like to buy Sayra's book, it's available on Amazon and from all good bookstores. I've always wanted to say that.
Living the life.